On my 10th birthday, I picked a teacup chihuahua from the pound. He was bow-legged, wiry, and smelled like soggy corn chips. He snapped at flies like a drunk frog. Naturally, I named him Renfield. We lived on 5 acres of forest, and my secret haven was a hidden hollow in a hedge, only accessible by crawling through a trench. That first night, I took Renfield inside. Sunlight poured through the leaves like golden lace. He curled up and fell asleep in my lap. When I crawled out and called his name to confuse him, he panicked, trapped by the branches. His eyes, when I returned, were wide with terror and joy. That look haunted me years later, when I had to put him down after 18 years. His body was broken, but his eyes. He knew. He was scared, and I made it worse by crying. I had trapped him again, and this time I left him behind. I felt like I was drowning without him. My last lifeline was gone. Around the same time, my dad was dying in a nursing home. Alzheimer's had stolen his mind, and pancreatic cancer his body. I stopped visiting, not because I didn't care, but because my tears terrified him. My presence became a curse. I planned to be there at the end, but I missed it. I was at my doctor's office, being told that I too would be sick forever. That night I dreamt of my dad screaming from the hedge. I tried to help, but I was invisible. Somehow I knew it was my fault. I was tired, not of life, but of pain. So I searched the internet, desperate for something to numb the sadness. Guided imagery, ASMR, hypnosis. Nothing worked. But on the 5th night, I found a strange GeoCities page titled, A Recipe for Happiness. It was oddly wholesome. Bake a honey cake, spit in the batter, leave half on your porch, and eat the other half while meditating on a happy memory, a loved one, and a perfect day. So I did it. I thought about that first night in the hedge, about my dad, about a perfect rainy evening with my family, and for a moment, peace settled over me like a warm blanket. When I woke up, something small and bleeding was on my pillow. Something that blinked with 3 milky eyes and smiled with a mouthful of human teeth. It inhaled my breath, my memories, my pain. I screamed, but it grew, swollen and bloated with everything it stole. Then it let go. It hadn't eaten my guts. It had eaten my sorrow. I felt calm, empty, but calm. I went for a drive. I came back and asked what it was. A special treat, it said. I checked into a hospital, convinced I'd snapped. But nothing was wrong. I was balanced, peaceful. At home, the creature was thin and starving. Feed me, it begged, or you'll suffer again. So I let it feed, night after night, and with each breath it took, the pain vanished. It sucked out my sadness, my fears, even the sting of bad days. It removed triggers, photos, places, memories. Eventually, I felt nothing. People called me confident, calm. I rose at work. Friends returned. Life was smooth and painless. But one day I opened my photo album, and I realized I didn't recognize anyone, not even the dog in my arms or the man who shared my eyes. I remembered remembering them, but not them, and I understood. The monster hadn't just taken pain, it had taken everything. So I found another recipe, buried at the bottom of that cursed site, a recipe for sadness. This time the batter needed blood. This time you had to choose. Forget a happy memory, or choose never to be happy again. I chose the latter. I baked the cake, gave half to my monster. It smiled, then it shrank. Its body collapsed like a deflated sack. Pain returned like a hurricane. Grief, loss. My father's last smile, my mother's guitar, Renfield's warm weight against my feet. I lay on the floor crushed, but this time I remembered everything. Pain isn't a fugue. It doesn't drift apart like morning mist. It's sharp. It's real. It doesn't let go. And still, I wouldn't undo what I did because I remember my dad. I remember our perfect day. And even though I hurt, I am okay. My ex took everything. The apartment, the furniture, the car. But he didn't take the dog because she wasn't pretty. Lulu wasn't one of those cute Instagram mutts. She had a lumpy pit bull head, a skinny body, stubby legs, and snored like a drunk uncle. But she was mine. She was sweet, loyal, and honest in a way that humans rarely are. And when my ex left, it was Lulu who curled into my lap and stayed with me as I cried into a bowl of soggy cereal. I packed what little I had into a U-Haul, my job quit, my life in boxes, and started the drive to my sister's place in Spartanburg. 10+ hours of road and farmland. Lulu in the passenger seat, panting softly. The sky grew dark. The van began to shake. A sign appeared, Richard and Sons Auto Repair. Quarter-mile ahead. It sounds like the start of a horror cliche, but it wasn't, at least not at first. Richard, the owner, was polite and well-spoken. His two sons, Abel and Dean, worked the garage. Abel was quiet, forgettable. Dean, on the other hand, was stunning. Movie star handsome, charming, the kind of guy you feel stupid for blushing around. Dean ran diagnostics while Lulu stayed glued to my side. When he bent to pet her, she growled. He brushed it off with a laugh, said she was protecting her mom. They fixed the van, no charge. Richard even warned me about recent incidents. Women found dead in the woods nearby. Told me to keep Lulu close. I appreciated the warning. They all seemed kind. As I left, I debated giving Dean my number, but he was gone, off on a date, Abel said. Of course, guys like that are never really available. I got back on the road. It was dark, country dark. Lulu started barking as we passed through cornfields. Low, primal growls. Every few minutes, she'd snap toward the back of the van. I chalked it up to nerves. We were both exhausted. Hours passed. The road grew lonelier. I crossed into South Carolina. Lulu never fully relaxed. When we finally pulled up to my sister's house, it was just past 3 a.m. I reached for my bag. Lulu was stiff, alert. Then I heard it, breathing, not hers. Something deeper, heavier, coming from the back of the van. Lulu growled. I fumbled for the door, for my phone, managed to dial 911 just as I heard the latch click. The back door swung open slowly, and Dean tumbled out, naked, holding a knife. All night, he muttered. That damn dog wouldn't shut up. His voice was wild, his face soaked with sweat. He stepped toward us, waving the knife. Lulu growled low in her throat. You should be thanking me, he spat. I'm a 10. I chose you. Charity, really? Then he said the words that made my blood run cold. My brother thought you looked tasty enough. I brought you for him. A favor. Dean lunged at Lulu. She dodged the slash, yelped, then latched onto his hand and tore it clean off. He screamed. Blood gushed. The knife hit the pavement. But Dean wasn't done. He grabbed the blade with his other hand. Lulu was already midair. This time she went for the face. A severed hand makes for excellent DNA evidence. Within days, police linked Dean to the murders of 7 women. Abel was arrested as an accomplice. They'd been luring women with roadside breakdowns, using their father's shop as bait. Richard, it turned out, had no idea. He'd lost his wife a year and a half earlier, just before the murder started. I wanted to believe she died of natural causes. I testified. The trial was brutal, but Lulu survived. She became a hero. There was even a ceremony. Footage showed her limping out of the animal hospital to cheers and applause, her back stitched, her eyes tired but calm. That night we watched the news together. I stroked the scar on her back as she dozed in my lap. See that, girl? That's you on the news, I whispered. She blinked once, then rested her head on my leg and went back to sleep. Later I invited her onto the bed. No more floor, I said. Come up here. This is yours now. She wagged her tail and curled beside me, snoring softly as I turned out the light. She saved my life, and she's never sleeping on the floor again. Son, we need to have a talk about internet safety. I crumpled down beside him on the floor. His laptop was open, Minecraft on a public server, chat flying by in a corner of the screen. His eyes were locked on the action. Can you pause the game for a minute? He sighed, exited the world, and closed the laptop. Is this going to be another cheesy, scary story? I put on my best hurt face. What? I thought you liked my cautionary tales. He rolled his eyes. They were fine when I was 6, but now that I'm 10, they're not scary anymore. They're kind of silly. Okay, I said, grinning. So what you're saying is, you want it really scary this time? He folded his arms. Make it scary. I nodded. All right then, let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Colby. My son gave me a side glance. Not impressed yet. Colby loved playing games online and hanging out in kids' chat forums. That's how he met someone named Helper23. Just another kid, 10 years old. They had everything in common. Same favorite games, same jokes, same weird sense of humor. They became best friends, played for hours, helped each other in-game, laughed at the same stuff. One day near Colby's birthday, he gave Helper 23 6 diamonds in-game, a generous gift, and Helper23 wanted to return the favor with a real present, something cool mailed to Colby's house. Colby hesitated. Giving out his address? That was a big no-no, but it was just Helper23, a friend, a kid like him, so he gave the address. He told Helper23 to keep it secret, even from his parents. Helper23 promised. I paused the story. Was that a smart move? No, my son said, already drawn in. Exactly. Colby felt awful, guilty. It grew inside him like a splinter festering. He decided he had to tell his parents. That night, after brushing his teeth and changing into pajamas, he lay in bed, waiting for his parents to tuck him in. He listened to the house, the laundry machine tumbling, branches scraping the brick outside, the baby cooing down the hall, and other sounds, faint, wrong somehow. Then footsteps. "Dad?" he called out. His father's face peeked into the doorway, at a weird angle. In the dark, the mouth didn't move right. The eyes were wrong, empty. "Yes, son." The voice was off, too flat, too slow. "Are you okay, Dad?" "Uh-huh," the thing said. Then Mom's head popped in, below Dad's. "Were you going to tell us about giving out our address to Helper23? She said in a falsetto. "You shouldn't have done that," she continued, her smile frozen and wide. "He wasn't a kid. He just pretended. He came here. He broke in. He murdered us, Colby, just to spend time with you." Then a man stepped into the doorway, a fat man in a soaked jacket. He held their severed heads in his arms. Colby screamed as the man dropped the heads and unsheathed the knife. The blade caught the light. The man took a step forward. He began his work. My son screamed too, hands up over his face. But the story wasn't over. Colby didn't die right away. The killer took his time. It lasted hours. Colby's screams faded to whimpers. Then a new sound, the baby crying. The man paused. He'd never murdered a baby before. He followed the sound to the nursery, picked the baby up, cradled it. The crying stopped. The baby looked up and smiled. The man stood frozen. Then he gently bounced the baby in his arms. He wiped his hands on the blanket, stroked its cheek. "Hey there, little guy." His rage had melted. Something warmer took its place. He took the baby home, named him William, raised him as his own. I finished the story. My son sat there, pale, trembling. "But, Dad, my name is William." I winked, gave his hair a tousle. "Of course it is, son." He bolted up the stairs, wailing. But deep down, I think he liked the story.